All right, good afternoon. I'm Texas Storm Chasers Baldy and Chief David Rammer. It is 3:31 on the 24th of March, 2013, except it's 2023, not 2013. I actually still had hair in 2013. Reason we're here is not because of any sort of tornado warnings in the state of Texas, but we are starting to see an uptick in some organization. So we're going to go ahead and go live just in case we start having some severe weather mischief over the next hour or two in portions of northeast Texas or east Texas. Again, we've had no sort of severe thunderstorm or tornado warnings in the state of Texas across at least northeast Texas or east Texas this afternoon. What we are watching, we had a tornado warning near Ashdown, Arkansas a bit earlier, and we're starting to see some uptick in organization with some of these storms in northeast Texas. And there is a chance they could get a bit rowdy just before they move into Louisiana, Arkansas, where we are expecting a major severe weather / tornado outbreak to occur later this afternoon into this evening. Specifically, I'll just pull up the severe weather outlook for this evening and tonight. We've got pretty big level 3 and level 4 risks across Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, Boot Heel of Missouri, Kentucky, Alabama. And again, this does include the potential for tornadoes. There was even some consideration from the Storm Prediction Center earlier of adding a high risk for tornadoes and severe weather out in parts of Mississippi. They ended up not doing that, but we are going to be keeping an eye on some of these storms here in Texas. So with that being said, let's pop back over to our high-res high-res radar, I should say. And let me just show you why we're here, what we're keeping an eye on. We have a broad area of circulation. At this point, we have no tornado warning, but this is going to be crossing Interstate 30 near Leary in far northeast Texas over the next several minutes. And why we're here is simply just in case something were to suddenly spin up, but at this point that is not occurring. Pretty broad area of rotation over I-30 and Highway 82 near Leary and Mash. We could have some winds up to about 30 to 40 miles an hour here, but again, this is a broad circulation moving quickly to the northeast at about 60 miles per hour. This is going to stay on the west-north sides of Texarkana over the next 5 to 10 minutes, and it'll probably be out of the state of Texas by 3:45 to 3:50, moving up into Arkansas. Farther to the south, we're monitoring a couple other cellular-looking storms that have shown broad rotation at times. This cell near Linden, for example, could have some winds of 30 to 40 miles an hour as it moves to the east-northeast at about 60 miles an hour. And again, just looking down this little line here, you can see we have some cellular-like storm structures. And we're going to be watching this activity just in case it were to suddenly spin up over the next couple of minutes through about 4 p.m. And again, there is a tornado watch in effect for the next hour or two for east-northeast Texas. I say the next hour or two, really it is for several more hours yet, but northeast Texas, your severe weather threat's going to be done by 5. And then the Piney Woods of East Texas, we're going to have to keep an eye on until probably closer to 6, maybe 7. We do note individual thunderstorms are starting to fire up in portions of western Louisiana. This supercell just southeast of Shreveport, for example, is moving off to the east-northeast. No signs of strong rotation at this point, but it's going to be a busy day for those folks, most likely. We note, again, this is a tornado watch through 7 p.m. this evening. And this essentially includes areas along and east of this line of storms. That extends from Texarkana, between Longview and Marshall, Henderson, east. And until this line of storms makes it out of Texas, we're going to be keeping our eye on it. And again, a pretty nasty severe weather event likely to unfold just east of us over the next several hours into tonight. A line of severe storms and individual supercells capable of producing hurricane-force straight-line winds of 70 to 90 miles an hour. The potential for tornadoes, and some of those tornadoes to be long-tracked, simply, 1, because they may be down for a while, and 2, because they're going to be moving at 60 miles an hour. It's pretty easy to rack up miles doing that. And of course, the potential some of those tornadoes out to our east could be rather rowdy in the intensity department, which is nothing you ever want to see, and obviously nothing we want to really see hidden, folks. And the threat for severe weather will continue well after dark. But again, we're here because we're just keeping an eye on some of these thunderstorms. No tornado warnings in the state of Texas, no severe thunderstorm warnings, and we're monitoring a broad area of rotation. Now north of Nash, northwest sides of Texarkana. And again, this is going to be moving up Interstate 30 into southwest Arkansas over the next 5 to 10 minutes, moving at 60 miles an hour. This thing's going to be out of the state by 3:45. The potential for some winds, maybe 40, 50 miles an hour at this point. There are no tornado warnings. But we're just here because, one, I had nothing better to do. Two, we're just keeping an eye on things just in case something were to be a little rowdy and spin up quickly. And three, since these are about to be out of Texas, we can at least keep a bit of an eye on them. You can see this cell near Linden, a bit of a cellular storm structure here. Nothing organized whatsoever in the rotation department right now. This is more of a outflow or a straight line wind signature right now from Douglasville to Linden. And again, there could be some winds of 40, maybe 50 miles an hour. That might be enough to knock down a dead tree or two. Heading farther south, you can see we've got a relatively thin line of showers and thunderstorms moving off to the east-northeast. Again, 60 miles an hour or so. And at this point, they're behaving. Not really worried about any of that right now. We're just keeping an eye on some of these storms, just in case they were to develop areas of rotation, and so far they are not. As they move further east into Louisiana and Arkansas, I believe they will develop severe weather characteristics. The potential for damaging straight-line winds, the potential for tornadoes. But again, that threat will be highest east of the Texas-Louisiana state line. Those of you, again, in the state of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, northwestern half of Alabama, Tennessee, western Kentucky, the boot heel of Missouri, a little bit of far southern Illinois, and again, Arkansas, y'all are under the gun this evening from the potential of severe thunderstorms, including the potential for damaging winds of 70 to 90 miles an hour, the potential for tornadoes, potential for some hail. Highest threats, tornadoes, damaging winds this evening, tonight, across the Mid-South. Frankly, it probably isn't going to really get ramped up until closer to 6, 7 o'clock, and then it's just going to go well into the night. So that's why folks in the Mid-South are going to need to pay attention tonight with a severe weather outbreak likely to unfold. We do have storm chasers out and about. They're in, I think they're in Mississippi now. Western Mississippi. They're going to have live video on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube later on. And again, these are going to be moving. One moment, please. Ooh, excuse me, yawny yawn. They're going to be moving at about 60 miles an hour. So these things are going to be flying faster than most of y'all driving in rush hour this evening. Sorry. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that. But again, we're just going to stay here for a while longer yet, keeping an eye on some of these storms in far northeast Texas. About to move into Arkansas and Louisiana, showing some areas of rotation aloft. Aloft being the very key word here. This area that we're watching north of Texarkana is about to cross into Louisiana, generally moving up Interstate 30. It's going to be moving towards Fulton, Arkansas, Shepherd, Arkansas, and frankly, this may pass closer to Hope, Arkansas in the next 30 minutes. And again, this thing's flying to the northeast at about 60 miles an hour, so it's going to be out of the state of Texas probably in the next 4 to 5 minutes, and then right up Interstate 30. Starting to see a little bit more of a mid-level mesocyclone with this thunderstorm between Linden and Atlanta. There are no tornado warnings in the state of Texas at this point. I want to make that abundantly clear. We have no tornado warnings. We're simply keeping an eye on things. I'm just bringing you along for the journey. And again, as these storms continue moving east-northeast, they're going to start exiting Texas pretty quickly across northeast Texas. Farther to the south, you can see we've got a line of thunderstorms. They're all behaving themselves at this point, from Linden and Jefferson all the way down to Interstate 20 between Longview and Marshall near Nesbitt, Hallsville, down to Easton, Henderson, exiting Henderson to the east now, all the way down to almost Alto. I'll load some satellite data real quick. I'm going to switch modes here. Give me just a moment, please. And zooming out, you could see that we've got a cool front dry line. You may not be able to see it completely on reflectivity, but you can definitely see it on satellite. It's right there with some towering cumulus. And this is moving off to the east, while individual storms are moving northeast. And again, we should be very thankful, in Texas at least, that this is not moving a couple hours slower, because this is going to evolve into a full-scale severe weather tornado outbreak across portions of Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Tennessee, the Boot Heel of Missouri, parts of Alabama, even parts of southern Illinois and Kentucky. A classic Mid-South severe weather nocturnal outbreak. So again, we're just here right now to keep an eye on some of this activity, just to make sure we're not going to have to deal with it. And again, we won't bother you too long. We'll probably be off here by 4 o'clock if we don't have any severe weather ongoing. But the circulation we were watching near Texarkana, now crossing into Arkansas, Ogden, Arkansas, moving up towards Fulton. And again, that circulation is starting to become a little more organized, it looks like, now as it crosses over Interstate 49 north of Interstate 30, moving up Interstate 30 into Arkansas, Fulton up to Hope. And again, there are no tornado warnings. And we're just here keeping an eye on things. And understand, the Weather Service in Shreveport's probably going to be pretty liberal with issuing these tornado warnings today as the event gets underway in their neck of the woods. They've already had one tornado warning earlier for Ashdown, Arkansas, just north of the Red River, north of Red River County. And these storms are going to continue moving northeast at about 60 miles an hour. And whoop-nelly, do I apparently need more caffeine. We're going to fix that here in a bit. But again, what we are anticipating is our chasers. Apparently, they're actually in Monroe, Louisiana. They're going to be live streaming some severe weather chasing later on this afternoon, this evening. And again, our severe weather issues here in the state of Texas are going to be limited to the next couple hours, but the real deal in terms of widespread problems will be developing in the next 2 to 3 hours. Louisiana, Arkansas, moving into the Boot Heel of Missouri, Tennessee, Mississippi, and then tonight, Alabama, Central Tennessee up to Nashville, where we have great friends, the Nashville Severe Weather Twitter account and website, and they do a great job of covering Nashville. And then we also have a risk all the way up into portions of Kentucky and technically parts of Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, West Virginia, and parts of Virginia. So, with that being said, we're just keeping an eye on some of these storms, just in case they got a little rowdy. But the good news is they've been behaving themselves while visiting our great state. Taking a look at the which way the wind's blowing mode, if there was to be spinny mischief with this cell north of Texarkana, it would now be in Arkansas. And then we're keeping an eye on this cell northwest of Atlanta, west of Queen City, moving up towards Highway 59. It'll be moving up towards Domino before crossing into Arkansas. Cross it over Interstate 49 near Folk. And then moving towards Louisville, Arkansas. Being very clear, that is Louisville, Arkansas. And again, If we don't have anything going on here in the next 5 to 10 minutes, we'll probably return to just observing. Oh, excuse me. This is what happens when you don't drink enough coffee and take too short of a nap. You're asking why I'm not talking about naps at 4 in the afternoon. Well, because I was up until about 8 this morning. Because Mama Nature's going to do what Mama Nature's going to do, and Mama Nature didn't want me sleeping. Alright, so at this point, the storm north of Texarkana moving into Arkansas. Those of you up on Fulton to Hope in Arkansas, you need to watch this storm near Texarkana just in case it gets its act together. Central northern Arkansas, y'all are going to have problems here, probably in the next 2 to 3 hours, with these storms starting to develop out ahead of the line, which is still in East Texas. You can see we're starting to see individual thunderstorms firing up in portions of central Louisiana and Mississippi. Right now, these are called streamer showers. That's what they are right now. They're just little showers, essentially, on bands of moisture flowing to the northeast across portions of Louisiana and Mississippi. What we're going to have happen over the next few hours is these are probably going to evolve into thunderstorms, like this storm near Mansfield, Louisiana, up to just east of Shreveport. As that occurs and we see low-level wind shear increase exponentially by dinner time, these things are going to go into strong rotation, and any cell that's out by itself could put down what we call a hog or a big tornado. And these storms moving northeast at 60 could be long track. So that is definitely a problem, and that's why we have a level 4 out of 5 risk for severe storms in northeast Louisiana, southeast Arkansas, Mississippi. And again, don't just focus on where the big, bad, scary red blob of doom's located. We've got the orange scary blob of doom as well, and that includes Louisiana, Arkansas, Tennessee, the Boot Heel of Missouri, southwest Kentucky, northwest Alabama, more Mississippi, and technically even a sliver of southern Illinois. So again, it is going to be busy out east. We are the starting gates for what's going to become a severe weather outbreak and probably a tornado outbreak as well. And hopefully we can get through tonight without loss of life out here. But these things are going to be hauling after dark. And that's not a good combination in any shape, way, or form. It's not good for storm chasing. It's not good for the folks who have to take cover. And it's not good for those trying to see the things. So again, storm northeast of Texarkana out of the picture. Storm coming up on Domino and Queen City. Not severe. No tornado warnings. Could have some winds approaching 60 miles an hour just north of Queen City. So they may put a severe weather warning in effect for that. And holy moly, my camera's going sweet guacamole. What are we doing? Camera. Well, that's okay. It's okay because we have a toy arriving today that's going to fix that. And we're about to get even better video. Anyway, back to the whole matter at hand. We could have some 50, maybe 55 mile an hour winds coming on Highway 59 north of Atlanta to near Domino, and that's going to be moving towards Folk, Arkansas on Interstate 49. And you know what? I'm going to make sure I'm saying that right. Obviously, any sort of mispronunciation's not good, but if you mispronounce that, you could be in a world of hurt. And I'm not going down that road. No, sirree, Bob. So, again, so with this thunderstorm near Queen City, moving off to the east-northeast towards southwest Arkansas, looking to the south, no other areas of rotation showing up right now. This line of storms could have some gusty winds, 40 to 50 miles an hour. The potential for heavy rainfall, cloud-to-ground lightning. And again, we've just been watching to see if we were going to have any sort of spinny mischief in Texas, and so far we have not. You can see we've got some activity firing out way ahead of this line in parts of Louisiana, Mississippi, way out ahead. Those of you who've been watching me for a while or have not, you might know I usually say anything that gets going out ahead of this line out by itself will have to be watched. And that's not a great signature when you see that many little things starting to pop up out by themselves as we start seeing upper level lift arrive. So we're just going to have to watch all that carefully. But in the meantime, the good news is, hopefully, once this cell near Domino moves into Arkansas, we'll be able to go back to just observing and keeping an eye on things. I really don't think we're going to have too many severe weather issues in Texas. That being said, yes, we could still see a spin-up tornado in far east Texas in the Piney Woods through this evening. Some localized damaging winds, but the severe weather threat for sure is much higher east of the state line into Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Kentucky, the Boot Heel of Missouri, Tennessee, even parts of southern Illinois. So again, we just need to get these out of our state, and we'll be good to go, but our friends off to the east obviously are going to be dealing with problems this evening. And we do have storm chasers out and about. They're actually in Monroe, Louisiana right now, waiting on things to get going, and we will have live storm chasing video on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube. So make sure you subscribe to Texas Storm Chasers on YouTube. If not, what you doing? Come on now, come join the fun. And for what it's worth, we actually do have a Discord now. I don't think we've shared that link yet. I will go make a community post here in a few minutes after this live stream that does share the Discord link. But guess what? We got a Discord! Because everyone wanted a Discord last week. And I said I'd get it done by last Friday. And that obviously didn't happen because, sorry, life. But again, we could see some 50, 55 mile an hour winds on Highway 59 right now, north of Queen City up towards Domino, and that could knock a couple of weak or dead trees down. And this storm's going to be moving east-northeast at about 60 miles an hour into southwest Arkansas, generally out of Texas here in the next probably 10 minutes. Might not have been that east. Let's try this. There we go. My squiggly line of squiggliness. Moving off to the east-northeast about 60 miles an hour. Currently near Domino, Texas. Moving across Interstate 49. Southeast of Texarkana. Moving towards Garland, Arkansas. Eventually make its way towards Louisville, Arkansas. And then the old Where's Waldo, Arkansas. And eventually Magnolia, perhaps, Arkansas. But again, we're just keeping an eye on this storm to make sure it doesn't do any sort of spinny mischief before it gets out of Texas. And so far, we're doing okie dokie. But I'm going to be quite displeased if somehow this thing manages to go tornado warned in the 2 miles it has left in the state of Texas over the next 5 minutes. Would I rule it out? No, because that would simply taunt Mother Nature, and taunting Mother Nature is about the dumbest thing one could do today, or many days, because taunting Mother Nature results in either getting hit on the head by hail, some random tornado coming down and throwing a tree on your vehicle, or, as we get into the summer months, it being 110 degrees all summer, or it just being 90 degrees with humidity at near 100%, making it feel like 120. So we're not going to taunt Mother Nature. Taunting Mother Nature is not a good idea. So again, that's what we're dealing with here. Some winds maybe up to 55 miles an hour in Domino right now. This storm is clearly in rotational loft, but it is not currently showing strong low-level rotation. And it should be out of the state of Texas in the next 5 minutes, moving off to the east-northeast at about 60 miles an hour. And again, the reason we've been here is simply to make sure we haven't had any sort of spinny mischief before this activity got out of Texas. We were keeping an eye on this storm that was west and north of Texarkana. It's all the way almost up to Fulton, Arkansas by now. Again, these are moving at 60 miles an hour. Further south, we've got a storm near Domino showing a bit of rotation aloft, maybe some 50-mile-an-hour winds making it down to the surface. There are no tornado warnings. And then we've got a line of storms farther to the south from Jefferson to near Marshall, to between Henderson and Carthage, Tatum, to Mount Enterprise. And again, all this activity thus far remains behaved, moving off to the east-northeast at about 60 miles an hour, so it will not be staying in Texas all that much longer. And again, as this starts moving further to the east, it's going to become less and less behaved and become more and more rowdy, which is not good news for our neighbors and friends in portions of Arkansas, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Alabama, and the Boot Heel of Missouri. Let me clean up some of this, filter out some of that, and there you go. You can see this is the severe weather outlook for today and tonight, and you can see pretty large risk here. Technically, if you want to go from the level 1 risk just east of Bryan College Station all the way up to almost Indianapolis, Cincinnati, east into western portions of North Carolina, Virginia. I think I called North Carolina Virginia earlier and then called Virginia West Virginia. Sorry. I'm not completely state illiterate, contrary to popular belief. So again, highest threats tonight across portions of Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Tennessee, Kentucky, the Boot Heel of Missouri, far southern Illinois, northwest Alabama, and that does include the potential for tornadoes. You can see we've got a pretty good scope in terms of territory of areas that are under the gun in terms of the potential for tornadoes this evening and overnight. So again, folks in the Mid-South are going to need to be keeping a very close eye on the weather and be ready to take action to protect their lives tonight as dangerous, fast-moving, probably after-dark storms capable of producing tornadoes and hurricane-force straight-line winds come to say hello. But for us here in Texas, again, our severe weather threat will be confined to the next couple of hours. And we're the starting gate, essentially, for what's going to become a major severe weather outbreak to our east tonight. Seeing as we have no severe weather warnings at this point in the state of Texas, and hopefully we're going to keep it that way just because we want to keep it that way, knock on wood. We'll take one quick look. Again, a little bit of rotation now near Domino in far northeast Texas. That's going to be crossing into Arkansas in the next 5 minutes. Storms farther to the south continuing to behave themselves. Jefferson to Marshall to Tatum, west of Tenaha to Mount Enterprise, to northwest of Lufkin, west of Nacogdoches. And again, all this activity moving east-northeast at about 60 miles an hour. We'll be keeping an eye on things, and we encourage you to head over to the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Once activity gets going further east into Louisiana, we've got chasers in Monroe, Louisiana. We will have live storm chasing video on the Texas Storm Chasers YouTube. But until that occurs, we'll be keeping an eye on things here. If we do have any sort of severe weather mischief arise in Texas, we'll be back. But otherwise, y'all have a good afternoon. God bless. Keep an eye on the sky.